Dear friends, welcome to eSouthAsia.com Net TV. Today we are playing chess with a veteran journalist, Ghazi Salahuddin, who has been playing his innings for more than 4 decades. We'll try to know about the glorious phase and the, of course, hilarious phase of Pakistani journalism. Welcome to our lounge.
Thank you for playing chess with me.
Let us know about the glorious part of Pakistan journalism when you people had to fight back autocratic censorship and obstacles.
I think it's interesting that you call that period the glorious period, and I would agree with it, because those were the times when we were most under pressure, and there was an attack on press freedom, and we had to deal with a military ruler, and we had to find ways to be able to say things, and how we were sometimes saying things between the lines and struggling, and many of us going to jail because there was a movement for press freedom joined by press workers, and more than 100 people had gone to jail, courted arrest. I was one of them, and in those days, I think what I find now, what makes me nostalgic about that time, that during those very difficult days, we had more hope than we seem to have now, when we tend to have all the kind of freedom that we had not even imagined, even though this freedom is not the real freedom, which I can explain later. But the Zia-ul-Haq's time was a difficult time, and we had to live with all kinds of restrictions. And
then when gradually did Pakistan media start going towards or stepping towards freedom?
When in 1985 there was a non-party election and a civilian prime minister, though Zia was still there, then there was some freedom. After the crash in 1988, 17th August, after Zia, we had more freedom, and during the interim period when there were Benazir Bhutto and Nawaz Sharif both playing 2 short innings, there was freedom. Then there was some kind of a drawback with the arrival of another military ruler, Musharraf. But it was during Musharraf's time that in 2002 the private channels were allowed, and there was a new phase in which
kind of media boom.
There was a media boom, and now we have all these about 100 channels and so many news channels, and there is this sense of what I call is a very there is an upheaval in the media, and it has bred a lot of discontent also. So we have seen restrictions, we have seen freedom, and
actually in Pakistan you say newspaper has a tradition, and
yes,
it got its time to be matured, but TV media, electronic media, it's a 10-year-old boy media. So don't you think that it's taking its time to be matured, or we are criticizing it too much?
Well, in strictly, we had the state television. It was launched in 1967 properly, PTV, and that was the state broadcaster. And it had, except the political news, there was a lot of freedom in the cultural sphere. And some of the TV dramas broadcast in those days have been very popular.
Even they have contributed to music.
Yes, and also to music and all that. Only the news bulletins were very controlled.
And very funny as well.
Yes, and in fact, I think there is a lesson here. Television, I believe, has its message irrespective of the content. As Marshall McLuhan had said, medium is the message. So every new medium changes the situation, whether you have the right content on it or not. And if we can go into that, you know, the state television was launched by Ayub Khan, who was a military ruler. In 67, there was this television, terrestrial channels, and everybody thought that now that Ayub has the support of this powerful medium, and he will control it as he would control the radio. That was also a state sector public broadcaster. He will benefit from it. But what happened? He lost the election. He lost the support of the people. So, even when the opposition news was not allowed on television, I think that television played its part in creating discontent against Ayub because of the nature of the media. So, television creates this kind of longing for things, for instance, this upheaval, this mental kind of anguish among the people, and we are seeing this now. I think there is some kind of a climax in that direction, that people watching television are perhaps in need of a psychiatrist.
Why so?
Because it's very disturbing. They see, I mean, for the first time, they have seen what is happening in the country, and nothing happens to change the situation. So, when you are told about your illness and you don't get a medicine, what happens? So, that is what is happening now. People are very, very disturbed, mentally disturbed, watching television, watching everything, that everything is falling apart, that there is so much corruption, inefficiency, misgovernance, and then there are no remedies.
Do you think that TV channels, they are continuously spraying despair?
Yes, even if it shows the brighter side. I mean, I don't think that it would be possible for Pakistan television not to reflect the reality in some ways, even when I say that we don't have press freedom in its real sense, and the barriers to press freedom we can go into. And also, I sometimes wonder about the uses of press freedom. Why press freedom? Why do we need press freedom? We need press freedom to be able to change society. Now, press freedom becomes meaningful when other institutions are also responding to what the press is telling them. For instance, we all remember Watergate. Okay. Now, after the Watergate reporting in Washington Post, if Nixon had not resigned, what was the worth of Watergate? What was the use of Watergate? And we hear all the time, if some minister, a newspaper reports about a minister being corrupt and there is evidence, the minister has to resign. Look at what is happening in Britain, these inquiries against Murdoch, again, how the News of the World had to be closed because they discovered that they were hacking private telephones. And but in Pakistan, whatever you portray in the media has no impact.
So, why is this happening? Do you think that there is no strong civil society here, or what media can do further here? You see, media's role is to report.
People have misconceptions about what the media is and what media can do. People keep going to the media people, to media houses, demanding coverage of their problems, and they keep on complaining, why don't you do something? Look, what is this? This is happening here. Why don't you do something? The media can't do anything except report.
And they can just report.
Yes. What can they do? They don't have, I mean, they don't have any power to change things. They can't arrest people, they can't prosecute people, they can't stop people from doing whatever they are doing.
Another thing, recently we have seen that, you know, people started trusting on journalists, but gradually journalists also got into the ring of corruption, and they're taking kickbacks, villas and cars from business tycoons.
There have been allegations after this off-air broadcasting of conversation between two television hosts and the tycoon, and of course there have always been suspicions because what has happened when